5 highly anticipated horror movies of 2020. The year-end is already around the corner, so after we hang stockings and candy canes on Christmas trees, we'd be blowing trumpets and bathing in confetti while singing Auld Lang Syne. If you're tired of thinking what new things to include in your New Year's resolution list, here are 5 highly anticipated horror movies of 2020 that you should consider checking out. Number 5. The Grudge, January 3rd, 2020. The Curse of Ju-on will strike once again into the American screens with the newest and upcoming installment into the Grudge franchise. Aptly named The Grudge, the film will be another retelling of the hit Japanese horror movie franchise. And while many fans may no longer find the need to hold their breath until the movie's theatrical release on January 3rd, 2020, there's still quite a few reasons to be excited for the new title.
Will you help me, please?
For one, The Eyes of My Mother and Piercing, director Nicholas Pesce, is headlining the project at the helm. Included in the cast are veteran horror actors such as Linda Shay of Insidious, Andrea Riseborough of 2015's Hidden from the Duffer Brothers, and many others. According to available details, Riseborough will take on the role of a detective who is investigating the case of a young mother who murdered her entire family.
I think something followed me home.
Needless to mention, the detective will soon discover that the murderer was influenced by the angry, vengeful spirit of the Ju-on. Number 4. Candyman, June 12, 2020. The original Candyman film may not be that well received during its release in 1992. However, like a diamond in the rough, the film becomes a cult classic in the years since. The racially charged tale of a woman investigating an urban legend of the titular character inspired Get Out and Us director Jordan Peele to produce a reboot of some sort that will be coming out in June of next year. Details are still rife, but the current updates of the project indicate Lakeith Stanfield taking on the lead protagonist role in the film opposite Tony Todd, the original actor for the titular villain role. Also, the movie won't necessarily be a complete overhaul of the 90s classic, but rather it will be a spiritual sequel of the original, which will now find the setting in a newly revamped Chicago neighborhood of Cabrini Green. Number 3. Friday the 13th, TBA 2020. Yet again, an all-new Friday the 13th movie is coming up in 2020, bringing along the legendary mass murderer Jason Voorhees and his trusty ski mask back to the big screen. No one knows for sure, but the new movie will be a reboot, which means fans will once again be witnessing another origin story of the masked killer and his murder exploits. A few things of interest in this film. In 2018, it was heard that NBA star LeBron James would be taking part in the project as its executive producer through his production company, Spring Hill Entertainment. Horror buffs might also be delighted to know that next year will mark the 40th anniversary of the original film of the same title by director Sean S. Cunningham. The slasher film spawned several artistic adaptations in television, comic books, novels, and even in video games. $100 million worth of merchandising was also sold under the Friday the 13th brand. If remembered, Friday the 13th did have a reboot way back in 2009. Produced through Michael Bay's company, Platinum Dunes. The decade-old movie was critically panned for its excessive use of blood and gore to deliver horror, rather than delivering well-crafted suspense and tension prevalent in the original film. Number 2. Fear Street Trilogy. Those high school days of reading under a blanket with a flashlight will soon be paid off with the coming of not 1, not 2, but 3 movie adaptations of R.L. Stine's Fear Street books in 2020. You heard that right. Unlike the usual yearly release of sequels, this new horror collection is set to become the first trilogy film in which the installments will be released within the same year, 1 month after another to be exact. For the uninitiated, R.L. Stine's Fear Street book series tells the adventures and misadventures of a group of teenagers in the 90s who stumbled upon the dark and frightening realities of their small town in Ohio. The 90s generation, which will be featured in the films, will surely offer fans a break from the more popular 80s settings of shows and movies like Stranger Things and It. Fear Street books have already sold over 80 million copies worldwide as of 2010. The trilogy is directed by Leigh Janiak, produced by Chernin Entertainment and 20th Century Fox, and will be released starting June 2020. And number 1, A Quiet Place 2, March 20th, 2020. Director and star John Krasinski surprised the entertainment world last year with his remarkably made horror film called A Quiet Place. Almost branded as a modern silent film, A Quiet Place is anything but quiet in its box office performance. It garnered over $300 million in total ticket sales worldwide, versus a meager $20 million budget. A fact that understandably promoted Paramount Pictures to urge Krasinski in making a follow-up. When it came out, critics and moviegoers alike were raving about the film starring Emily Blunt and Krasinski himself. The film later received several award nominations for major award-giving bodies like Golden Globe Award, Screen Actors Guild Award, BAFTA Award, and the Academy Award. The new movie, which is simply being called A Quiet Place Part 2, will not necessarily be a direct sequel to the first. Krasinski explained during an interview, rather, it would revolve around a different group of characters who also happen to survive the same alien invasion. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.